Here is your spoiler warning for the season finale of The Bad Batch. Now, it's been out for a couple days, and wow, it's got me reeling. After a season of developing Tech more than other members of the Batch, many of you predicted that he would sacrifice himself at the end of the season, and hey, I didn't believe you, so here I stand in shock that they killed Tech. Or did they? I went back and started a rewatch of the whole show because I wanted to see how each piece of the show fit together, and I found a clue in season 1 that led me to this theory. So hear me out. What if Tech is not actually dead? Perhaps this is just denial, one of the stages of grief, but I don't actually think Tech's fall killed him. But before we jump into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Star Wars content. Both of those things go a long way in helping the channel grow, and that's something I'd really like to see happen this year. My goal is 25,000 subscribers by December, so can you help me get there? Anyways, you didn't click on this video to hear a Star Wars YouTuber plea for an ego boost. Let's talk about why I think Tech survived his fall, but did not make it out to safety. We need to first tackle the question of whether or not it was even possible for Tech to survive. There were two major threats to him. The first one was obviously the great height from which he fell, but I actually think the fall wasn't a big deal. In fact, remember the fall Hunter survived in season 1 when the Batch rescued Gregor from the Imperial facility on Darrow? It was also a big fall into a thickly wooded area. For Hunter, the trees were key to softening his fall. And Tech also fell into a thick wooded area. It's just hard to see because of all of the fog, but the fall is almost identical, or at least not much different than Hunter's fall in season 1. So it's very believable to me that Tech could survive the fall. We also though need to address the second threat. If the fall didn't kill him, the rail car falling directly on top of him would have. But even as I rewatched the scene, I could see that it looked like he was starting to fall away from the car. In the universe of Star Wars, I think it's certainly possible that Tech survived his fall. So really the next question is why? Part of what made this scene so powerful was that Tech didn't just fall on accident. He fell because he sacrificed himself so that his brothers and Omega could escape. This was also after he spoke up about the importance of this mission in order to save Crosshair. I actually think Tech sacrificing himself and surviving the fall sets up an even darker story that has potential to really solidify Crosshair's redemption. When Dr. Hemlock finally catches the rest of the Bad Batch, thanks to Sid, he throws Tech's goggles toward Hunter as a way of taunting him. This shows us, and the Bad Batch, that the Empire recovered Tech's body. And if my theory is correct, that means the Empire recovered Tech, but he was alive and therefore another candidate for the experiments of the Advanced Science Division. The assumption is that Dr. Hemlock is working on the early stages of Dark Troopers, so we've been assuming that Crosshair will become a Dark Trooper, but I'm not so sure at this point. And let's talk about a possible season 3 story. Tech survived and is transported to Hemlock's facility on Tantus. But before that happens, Omega and her sister work together to free Crosshair. We saw the soft spot Omega's sister had for him, so I could see the three escaping, maybe they even free Nala Se as well, and they would go and find Hunter and Wrecker, who would also be trying to find Omega, and it would be a shock for them to have Omega and Crosshair show up on their doorstep. Crosshair would learn about Tech's sacrifice and that he was the one to stick up for Crosshair before the mission that claimed Tech's life. This is where I get to Tech in season 3. What if he survived, the Empire got him, and he became a Dark Trooper instead of Crosshair? That would make Tech's sacrifice even more meaningful because he saved his brothers, but also took Crosshair's place. Crosshair would know that it should have been him, but Tech's sacrifice gave him freedom and a second chance. And I think that's a second chance that Crosshair is not going to waste in season 3. Think about how much more terrifying the Dark Trooper program will be if Tech is the Batch's first encounter with them. Sending Crosshair as a Dark Trooper is not entirely different from what he was in season 1. Dark Trooper Tech would demonstrate the power and terror of the brainwashing effects of Hemlock's research more so than Crosshair. So if you lost track of my rambling, let me summarize my theory. Tech survived his fall by using the trees to soften the landing, but he was captured by the Empire to be turned into a Dark Trooper. To me, this sets up a really tense story for Season 3. It will create a lot of tension for the Batch to have Crosshair back at the cost of Tech, but it will also give them a reason to not just retire to Pabu, because they'll be driven to figure out a way to reverse the Dark Trooper program and save Tech. Perhaps that even explains why the Dark Trooper program evolves so much, because the Empire had clones like the Bad Batch opposing all of the early phases. What do you think of my theory? Am I just in denial and looking for a way to explain away Tech's death? Or is there a legit story option here? Let me know by leaving a comment, and if you made it this far, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more if you're not already, and I'll catch you in the next video. May the Force be with you.